Imagine this. You're sitting at a restaurant, enjoying a meal, and you hand your server a tip. But have you ever stopped to think about the deeper, darker history behind that tip? Tipping in America didn't start here. It originated in Europe, and American travelers in the 19th century brought it back with them, eager to seem sophisticated. But what began as a sign of wealth and status quickly morphed into something much more troubling. After the Civil War, employers in the South needed a way to avoid paying their newly freed black workers a fair wage. Enter tipping, a system that allowed them to pay workers as little as possible while making the customers responsible for their wages. One of the most infamous examples comes from the Pullman Company, which employed black men as porters. Instead of paying them a fair salary, Pullman made sure the workers had to rely almost entirely on tips, leaving them in a cycle of poverty. But it wasn't just about money. It was about power. Tipping became part of a racialized class structure, where black workers were expected to please customers and employers just to survive. And it didn't stop there. In fact, a quote from a 1909 book by Cary Segrave, Tipping, An American Social History of Gratuities, sums up how deep the racism ran. One man said he was embarrassed to tip a white person, but had no problem tipping black workers because, in his words, Negroes take tips. It's a token of their inferiority. Fast forward to the early 1900s, and there was an actual movement to end tipping. Many states tried to ban the practice, recognizing its racist roots. But the restaurant industry wasn't having it. They fought back, and, in the end, tipped workers were left out of the first federal minimum wage law passed in 1938. It wasn't until 1966 that tipped workers got a base wage, but it was only 50% of what other workers earned. And then, in 1996, the restaurant industry made a deal with Congress. They agreed to a small wage increase, but in exchange, the tipped wage was frozen at just $2.13 an hour. And guess what? It's still there over 2 decades later. Even though employers are supposed to make up the difference if tips don't bring workers to the full minimum wage, the law isn't always enforced. In fact, in a 2010 to 2012 Department of Labor sweep of 9,000 restaurants, 84% were found to be in violation of the system. So next time you're asked to tip, remember, it's not just about good service. It's about history, power, and the way America's racial and economic systems have shaped the way we work today. Thanks for watching. For more untold history and stories, be sure to follow us for more.